Next session is titled Best Practices of High Growth Clubs. Rosalia Villalobos is the moderator for this session. She's also our club growth director. She has a short presentation for you to kick things off, and then we'll be asking questions of two clubs that have outstanding new membership statistics. How do they do it? I mean, it's just remarkable the numbers they have. I'm sure we can all learn a lot from this session. Over to you, Rosalia.
Thank you everyone for coming in this lovely Saturday morning. If you don't have your coffee, please have it. I have nothing against you drinking coffee during this presentation. I also have two panelists today, wonderful panelists that have wonderfully agreed to be here and let us know their secrets, what little secret sauce, what they're sprinkling on to really get new members into their clubs. But before we present them, I wanted to give you just a quick overview of what Toastmasters International has to say about attracting new clubs. And one of those things is, first and foremost, I know some of you might feel a little bit low, you're not attracting those members, but really as a Toastmaster club, to really attract some of those members, it is to stay positive, encouraged, upbeat, and schedule those open houses and invite guests and be upbeat when you do have those meetings. And if you only have one guest, you have one guest. If you don't have any, still stay upbeat because it really resonates and that attitude really trickles down to your whole club presentation. And then just the quick ideas for you who might be wondering, well, how can I get our members involved to attract new members? Well, the first way is, and quick way is to really bring a blank to the meeting. I know some of us have bring a family member, bring a friend, bring a coworker, maybe bring a stranger I met off the street, as long as you feel safe doing that, or invite that person you always see at Starbucks or your local coffee shop. We know we're creatures of habit. We always go to the same coffee shop. We always go at the same time. We see the same people. Invite them, present yourself, introduce yourself, create perks for your members that recruit new members. The little bit of incentives, a nice little pin goes a long way. Again, give your members pins, apparel, so when they do have extracurricular activities, they can kind of promote your club and kind of do some off-the-shoot marketing for you. And always ask your current members. They might have some great ideas that I have most definitely not mentioned here for you to recruit new members. And lastly, I just want to say, don't forget, create your informational brochure about your club. That can be a scan code, anything that really just says, come to Blank Toastmasters Club on Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, whatever days you have your meetings. Share your club information with new members. Announce your club meetings. Put your club meetings in community calendars, and that may be in your LinkedIn profile if you have one, or your personal LinkedIn profile. If you have a meetup profile, keep on updating it. Make sure that it goes up to the top so when somebody searches for it, it's coming up. Create a website for your club if you haven't done so. Use social media. Yes, there's TikTok, there's Instagram. There's a whole lot of them which I may not be aware or familiar with, but trust me, other members may be familiar with. And take advantage of it. Not only are you learning a new skill of using social media, maybe getting some marketing and some graphic design ideas and skills developed, but you're getting to actually attract new members for your club. And with that, let us hear from our panelists today when it comes to the Toastmasters and how to attract new members. So for those of you who don't know, please pin them. But today we have our beautiful, wonderful Toastmasters, our Golden Gate Toastmasters, Helen Freem, as well as San Mateo Toastmasters Tony De Leon. Let's hear it for them. Woo! All right. With that being said, I will, if you have any questions for our panelists, please send those questions over to me. I will be monitoring the chat. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with our panelists, and I'm going to ask them the same questions, really, that I'm sure you are all wondering, because they have really attracted new members. So first and foremost, how did you do it? What is the secret sauce? What did you do to attract those new members? And I will first bring it up to whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Helen.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Helen Freem. I'm the current president for Golden Gate Toastmasters, which I believe is one of the oldest clubs in the area. We were chartered in 1936, so we've been around for 87 years. I guess on the question, how do we do it? There's no one answer. When I joined nearly 2 years ago, as most clubs, I think, were very much struggling after the pandemic, Golden Gate Toastmasters was in the same position. They had maybe 10 members. From a pre-pandemic 100 members or so, we're drastically reduced to about 10. They were just transitioning into meeting in person again with a hybrid model for those who still wanted to meet online. And since then, we've been able to grow primarily because we are meeting in person and have that advertised on our various channels, website, social media, so on and so forth. So we've been able to bring in people who want to be able to meet in person. And I know that's not the answer that everybody wants to hear, particularly those who are struggling to bring in online members. But I think if it's just one thing that we've done to promote the club, it's to have a really strong online presence. So if people are searching for Toastmasters clubs in San Francisco, we come up in reviews. We have reviews in Yelp, Google. We have a solid website, Facebook page, Instagram account, so people can find us wherever they are searching for information about Toastmasters. Tony?
All right, I'm going to piggyback off of Helen. And my name is Tony De Leon. I belong to a club called San Mateo Toastmasters. And we have the original number 191, but we are younger than Golden Gate Toastmasters. So we started in 1941. And for many, many years, we are a stronghold in San Mateo County, training lots of people going through the club, thousands of people, literally. When the pandemic hit, we did like everybody else. We went on a Zoom model and our membership dropped. We were probably around 50 members and probably got to 20 members, and slowly we lost it. I was president of the club last year. So during the pandemic, still online presence, but we wanted the plan to go live. And some things we did is we practiced going live by doing some meetings outside. So we went to a park during the summer and we had some fun doing meetings outdoors. So that kind of whet the appetite for the club to decide that let's commit to doing something in person. And the problem is, how do we get a venue, right? So we lost our venue. We met at a church in Burlingame, and the pastor left and we kind of lost contact. So we weren't sure how to reapproach that. But fortunately, during one of our practice meetings, a member came up who was a member with the church, and they made the reintroduction. And we came up with a price of what it would cost to meet at the church. So $125 a month. So a one-year commitment to the church meant $1,500 that we needed to pay for a meeting space. Problem is, my club only had $400 in the bank. So one of the things that had to do with my club is get them to agree that, yes, we're going to meet in person, but we're going to need to do some changes to our price structure in order to go back to an in-person model. So some of the things that we did for new members is that we initiated a new member fee. We never had to do that before, so it was $25 for a new member. And they didn't know because they'd never been a member before. So that's kind of not apparent to a member. And then we also decided that we were going to double our monthly fees for visiting the club. Okay, and then for members that were that stayed away, so reinstating a member that dropped and was away for a period of time, they also are facing a reinstatement fee as well. So it's only fair that we were paying our dues all along, but the members that stayed away get an extra fee. So for me, the way I looked at it, for every 5 members that I grew, that would pay 1 month fee for the church. Okay, so we voted, we changed our bylaws, we changed our fee structure. So starting in January 1st, when we held our first meetings, all new members were charged a new fee. And later on, I will share a membership application fee that shows this. But our growth, we went from 15 members in January, and now in August, we're at 39 members. Let's see. Also attended the pre-briefing in the Bahamas, via online. And Matt Kinsey was talking about hybrid clubs or online clubs. And he is saying the average growth is 3 to 5 members a year. And then he says all the clubs that decided to go live are averaging 8 to 10 members a year. And that is significant. And let me see if I could share this. I want to share a marketing poster. I'll put it here in the chat. And can I share a screen? I know I'm going a little long, but can I share a screen? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. This picture is San Mateo Toastmasters outdoors at a park on a summer day. And, it just changed the way a meeting felt. Okay. And actually we had the district champion practicing his speech outdoors. So that was a fun meeting. And this is our typical poster promoting our club, but we were still meeting online. Get rid of that one. And let me share another one. Okay, here's the poster that we have now hanging at the church. And, it emphasizes that our club is meeting in person. And, it has our club website on there and people smiling. And we're standing in front of a welcome sign. We're also using Meetup. Meetup has worked very well for us, as well as people using a general search for Toastmasters. And what needs to really happen, respond to the emails. If someone says they're interested in attending a meeting, respond right away, let them know that they're welcome. We're having a meeting, we're expecting you there. And I'm going to share one more thing online here. This is the membership application that I've modified. Let me go to a shared screen here. As a result, we're getting a lot of guests and we need to be out of the church by a certain time, so we can't really linger. So I added a little cheat sheet to our membership application, and 3 or 4 people will have these in their hands, approach the guests. So we can maybe get a call to action for members to join the club. So it has information on our VP of membership. This is if they wanted to join the club. We know there's a new fee structure and we don't have the new application yet. And then we have the old fee structure. We have the reinstall a membership, new member fee. And then we have our new fees here and what the total is. Once we get the application from the member, we can send them a PayPal invoice. And that's how we try to bring in a new member while it's still fresh in their mind. And sometimes members say, no, we want to come back another week, and that's fine too as well. But I try to give them this application so they have something in hand. When they say it's time to join, they're ready to do that. All right, I'm going to stop my share. And back to you, Madam Club Growth Director.
Thank you so much, Tony, and for all that information. I hope a few of you have gotten a few ideas and taken a few things. I've taken a few screenshots, and I'm looking at Tony's modified membership application. But we do have a few questions, and I hope more questions will come up. But quick question that first came up, and this one was for Helen. And we have a few inquiries on how do you get your club into Yelp or Google reviews?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I have no idea how you actually get the things into I don't know. We have a website, so I think we're established as a business and we have a location and that's added to Google Maps. I can definitely look into how, like the mechanics of it. I'm sure there is a way. And follow up if people want to reach out to me directly. I can follow up with our VP of PR and find out those information.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have an idea.
All right. Thank you so much, Helen. Okay. And Tony, we do have a few questions for you as well. One of them, and I'm going to put these two together, but one of them is, when you increase the price to your memberships, did you lose some existing members? And then second of all, how much do members have to pay as in monthly fees that is not including the Toastmasters dues?
Sure. We did lose 2 members when we went from a Zoom format. We had one person meeting from Australia and we had one person meeting from Hawaii. But the benefits, and I'm going to go back to Ralph Smedley, is that Toastmasters, you want to increase your visibility so you can make a better world through Toastmasters. So losing 2 members and going from 15 to 39, more people are benefiting from Toastmasters. And there are many clubs meeting online, and those 2 members found other clubs to join, and we made some recommendations, or they found. So it was a sacrifice, but the benefit outweighed the disadvantages of that. Let's see, my club dues went from $2 to $4 a month. And so it wasn't that big of a stretch. And of course, Toastmasters surprised me this year with their increase in dues as well. So that will go up as well. So I think we were at $59 before, and I think we're about $61, $62 right now. For actually, it's going to be more now. Add $15 to that with the new members increase. But yeah, I'm constantly crafting these membership applications, even for our own members, to help them understand how to bring in new members, because that's always a little confusing on the fly when you're in front of someone. So that gives us an opportunity to talk up the club versus trying to figure out numbers. It's like, I'm bad. I'm not even doing that in front of you. And you don't want that. You want to talk about the club and bring in these members as soon as possible. And I know on the Toastmasters International webpage, there's a Toastmasters benefit sheet. And I think there makes some comparisons to other organizations or other companies that sell speech development classes. You know, SkillPath, I think, charges $400 for a half-day session. And at the end, they recommend Toastmasters. The Carnegie Institute, same thing, a 1-week session that costs $5,000 to $10,000. At the end, they recommend Toastmasters. The other thing is, like, if you can afford a Starbucks coffee a day, you can afford Toastmasters.
I just did a quick search so I could answer my question. Both for Yelp and Google, you can create free business accounts. So that's the way of getting your club visible as a business, and have your member. We encourage our members to leave reviews and have like 2 people do it every month or so. Current and past members to leave good reviews. Yes.
Helen, you know what we call those? We call those Toastimonials.
Testimonials, I love it.
Testimonials. I think we have those on our club website. So it kind of
Yeah.
makes it fun. And, you know, you can even encourage your club members to create a speech around their testimonial. A lot of times members forget why they joined Toastmasters.
Mhm.
And sometimes that will inspire everyone else to say, I've been a member and I haven't done a speech in 6 months. Why am I spending money to be part of a club if I'm not benefiting from it?
Mhm.
All right, so I have a few more questions, but I'm going to go down the line of some of these questions. And one of them is just to verify, are you meeting via hybrid or only in person at the current moment? And this is for both of you.
So our club is technically hybrid. We have a Zoom link, which we set up every week. Oh, not every week, every meeting, which we meet every 2 weeks. But for the last maybe 3 or 4 sessions, nobody has joined online. So we are considering, I think we, as an officer group, we agreed that if 4 meetings in a row, there wouldn't be anybody online, we would just scrap it completely. As I think we discussed yesterday, it is a distraction. It takes up time to set up, and the people with laptops and getting the whole setup is complicated. And it's not an equitable experience. It's people joining online don't have the same experience as those people in the room. And it's really hard to make sure that everyone is having the same experience. So I think we're going to go completely in person in the next month or so.
Okay. And yourself, Tony?
Yeah, I had the same experience as Helen. For first 2 months, we set up the laptop and we had a microphone, and we had maybe 2 members attending, but they would never stay for the whole meeting. And you could tell they were distracted and doing other things. And if you give them a role, you know, it's hard for them to listen, you know, because we had a big room. And so at the end, we decided, you know, it just wasn't the distraction. It really became a distraction. And I'm also club secretary, so I like taking meeting minutes, but yeah, to monitor all that. And not a lot of people wanted to do that. It's not our skill set. So, you know, if we were someone like Visa Speaker Circle that has a professional meeting room and mics and all the nice corporate tools, that would work. But we're just a community club meeting at a church. And yeah, we're not set up. So, but we grew. As a result, it didn't hurt us.
Thank you, Tony. Question for you, Helen. How did you handle the venue? We know what Tony did and his club did for getting a place to meet, but yourselves, how did you get a new place to meet in person? Somebody's letting us know that you met somewhere else and then moved. So did that impact your numbers when you moved?
Yeah, we've actually moved 3 times in the last 2 years since I joined. I think pre-pandemic, the club was in a corporate space. One or two of the members had inroads into some space in the Macy's building. They left, and then post-pandemic, we were trying to find a location similar to Tony that wasn't going to break the bank. And it's very hard, particularly in San Francisco, as we know. Rent prices are super high. So we initially went back to meeting in person in a cafe in Dubose Triangle kind of area, and we were bringing people in and offering them free food, essentially. So come stay, we'll give you some free food. And I think we were lucky in that we did have more of a buffer in the bank from previous years. We're in a pretty healthy state. That said, we did burn through a lot of our reserve pretty quickly. And essentially the cafe wasn't really the best setup for public speaking. There was a lot of distractions, a lot of noises. And so we eventually moved to another location, down by the Embarcadero in the English Language Institute. And we found that space through an online meeting room finder. I can't remember what it's called now, but we found it there. We stayed there for a while, and then actually one of our members had a community space in their apartment building that they let us use for free. But with that, we were not, since we weren't paying for it, we were not the priority. So if somebody else wanted to use it, then we were in trouble. So we moved back to the Embarcadero. And that's a long way of saying, did we lose members? Not really. I mean, they were kind of all in a similar area. So all convenient for people trying to get there by public transport, after work, walking, so on and so forth. So we haven't lost members that I know of, probably gained new ones, and particularly being in the English Language Institute, we bring in a lot of people there from there as well. So we have some posters up. The people who we hire the room from are really great as well at letting us advertise our club within the building.
So you said you used an online meeting room finder, so you don't have that, but I will put my email in there if you can let me know what that
Sure.
app is. I will share it with everybody else later on today. So I'll send you that over. That sounds like a great resource to use, so thank you. All right.
I will say for meeting rooms, I did a huge amount of research in trying to find spaces, and our club members had some great ideas. Some of them didn't work out for us just in terms of like location and things, but the Park and Recs service have a lot of community spaces which are very affordable and obviously mostly linked to parks. So you have to be able to get to one of the parks and green spaces around San Francisco, but they have a lot of places on the website. Libraries, they have lots of meeting rooms, generally for free, and you can get in and reserve spaces, and a lot of times with audiovisual setups as well. So that was going to be one of our backups to meet in one of the public libraries. And then spaces like the YMCA and other charitable organizations. So that's my ideas.
And so another question here regarding finding a space at your local church. So Tony, we kind of just have a question. I know you had somebody who was a member of the church, but is it necessary? Do you need to have members in the church to really get that room, or do you think you could have had access to that room without that member?
You know, I think it's possible if you introduce yourself as a group that can benefit the community. The church, United Methodist Church of Burlingame, hosts a lot of community events. To get a space there, the past year submitted our application to the board of directors of the church, and then they just had to approve us. We've been past tenants there before, and we knew that the janitorial staff of the church was very fastidious about us getting out on time, and also setting up and putting the chairs, everything exactly the way we found them. So it's just long as you can leave it better than you found it, I think we will still be welcome there. And I do check in with the pastor to find out, hey, come to one of our meetings, or is there any feedback from the group? So as we want to keep, the best relationship possible. But it did help that we had Joan Mersman, a past member of our club, and I thought she was going to be our first new member coming back, but she made the introduction for me to the new pastor, and I think that helps. Past history, we actually had the treasurer of the church as our member of the club. And I think that's how we initially got in.
Okay. Thank you, Tony and Helen. You're not free quite yet. I do still have a few questions for you. So one of them is here that I have here is you've mentioned a little bit about attracting the members, and Tony, you shared quite a bit of it with your new membership dues, but how do you really attract those prospects and convert them from, a prospect that, you met somebody at the street to having them come in as a guest so that you can then attract them as a member? Like, how do you get to that point where you can find someone to really join your meeting for the first time?
Sure. How do I say it? On my phone, I leave a note that I'm Tony the Toastmaster. And my most recent experience was I work as a chemist, and I had a repair guy come over to my workplace, but he used my cell phone and he heard that I was a Toastmaster. And suddenly he started asking me questions. Apparently he's going to be part of a wedding party soon. And of course, I sent him an invite, plus anyone that's part of that wedding party. I told him about our special occasion speeches that we have in the Pathways program. Still waiting for him to actually come, but I do have his number and I want to pull him in. But just through casual contact, if people find out, like my emails is tony.tm@AOL. And when I am telling people about it, I said the TM stands for Toastmasters. And sometimes that spurs up a conversation.
Nice.
The other tool you can use, if you have a Toastmasters button or badge, wear it. If you go to your Starbucks, somebody will say, hey, what's Toastmasters? Oh, I've been looking for Toastmasters. And literally, you could tell them we're right around the corner. Yeah, sometimes I stand in front of the church. I'm waiting for the doors to open. People ask, what are you waiting for? And I say, hey, Toastmasters. And just start a conversation. And so encourage every member of your club to be ambassador for your club. Everybody works somewhere. Everyone might be part of another group or nonprofit. I am president of the San Francisco Gem and Mineral Society, and I have several members interested in joining Toastmasters as well. But at work, through friends, when the holidays come in, right? We have Thanksgiving not too far away. If you give that toast at the table and you prepare for it, at the end, someone might ask you, how did you do that? And of course, you have the answer to that. So it's okay to show off to your friends.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Tony. Great to hear that. And yes, get your pins. I recommend the pins. I'm using these now, and they do attract attention. People do ask. So swag, ask your club officers for some of that beautiful swag. Okay. Helen, your perspective.
Sure. So I think a lot of ours is through word of mouth as well. Love that. I speak about it at every opportunity. And we encourage our members and guests to do the same. I actually asked our club last week, like, what attracted you to the club, what brought you here, and what kept you here. So I think I can speak more on the conversion piece, as I think most of our incoming people come through, like I mentioned before, all of our channels that we have out there, website, through the Toastmasters website. They're looking very specifically for a club in San Francisco. So they find us. Eventually, we have a really solid officer team. So the VP of membership is really efficient at getting back to people. And like Tony said, like respond straight away whilst they're still keen and keep that spark alive. And as soon as meetings are over, we also do a follow-up. We meet up with the guests and make sure they know how they can sign up to be a member and what's involved. So every time a guest comes to our meeting, they sign in on a form. So we collect their information. We follow up immediately after the meeting, send them all of the details on how to sign up as a member. And then if we don't hear from them, we follow up again. And I think, so besides that kind of an administrative piece, the just have an environment that people want to come back to. And I think that's really important, because you can do as much advertising and, you know, follow-ups as much of that as you want, but if you don't create an environment that people want to keep coming back to and where they feel supported and nurtured and where they're actually going to learn something, then it's not going to work. So most of our members said they stayed, well, they signed up because it was Toastmasters, and they stayed because of the people, and the environment that we have is professional yet fun. So we support people for whatever they want to do in their speeches. We've had singing, we've had dancing, we've had discussions about chess, that kind of thing. So each meeting is very different. At the same time, still Toastmasters, still very much the formal format that we expect of a Toastmasters environment. And I think one of the members actually said something around, they felt they were going to be able to learn, like the evaluations and the feedback that was given. It was super constructive and thoughtful. And I think that's a really important piece, that they know that they're going to get something out of it. One thing we have been able to do is, and I recognize this is very much a privilege of having a lot of members, is recreating our mentorship program. So we have, when new members come in, we assign them a mentor if they want one. And we found that it's really helped with speech signups, people of varying skill levels doing their speeches, and the guests being able to see the progress as well of those people doing speeches. So that's something that we've been able to attract people with, is knowing that they can get the support and mentorship through our more tenured members.
Okay. Thank you, Helen. And sorry.
I will say about actually the open house thing that you said. Love that idea. And actually, we have an open house, which I'm going to do a quick plug for, on the 6th of September, which is a Wednesday, 6 p.m. If anybody's interested in coming to see how we run the club, how we bring in our guests and how we welcome them, then you're very welcome to come join our meeting. Feel free to reach out to me directly, and if you would like to join online, we will be online, so you can still observe and participate. Let me know.
Thank you, Helen. Yes, for you all here that are listening, great way to plug in her own club, you know, and during Toastmasters Toastmaster Leadership Institute. So, you know, a few cues here. All right. So one of the other questions that I have for you is, what words of wisdom do you have for our clubs that are looking to grow their memberships and that are really just kind of struggling? I know you've provided so many ideas, but words of wisdom to really kind of get them pumped up and motivated so that they don't feel quite that overwhelmed.
Well, for me, a smile helps. Whenever you talk to a member, when that sergeant at arms calls the meeting to order, clear your mind of all the problems of the day and think back to all the benefits Toastmasters can offer. And when you call that meeting to order, let everyone know why you're so proud of your club. You know, so Helen mentioned the people in the club, and I could do the same thing, but I could say, oh, we have had World Championship of public speakers in our club. Steve Chin a couple years ago was part of the top 8 that was in there. So sometimes I remind people of that during the opening of a meeting board, or even just say, hey, I was at a presentation last week. I did great because of this club. You too can do it as well. And then introduce, we always introduce our guests first. So there's no strangers in our club. And we always let members, potential members, know ahead of time that they're going to be called upon, and they're going to stand up and tell us their name and how they found the club. So how they found the club is very important. I encourage the club secretary to say, oh, through Meetup, through word of mouth, through Helen. You know, if Helen brought in 10 members, she's going to get something special at the end of the year if the club has funds. Yes. So that's important, but creating that upbeat, and I think Rosalia, you mentioned that, think, smile, positive attitude. People could do no wrong. If you stumble and fall and forget something, it's okay. It's Toastmasters. You are practicing for what you're going to do in the real world. This is real world practice for you out there. So
Thank you, Tony. Yes, building our confidence up, people. That's what we're all about. You're Ellen.
Sure. Do I have any words of wisdom? I think it's important to differentiate between paid members and active members. So you can have, a bunch of members listed on the Toastmasters website, but actually having people participate and actively involved in the success of the club is super important. So even though you may only have, a small group of 10 members, 15 members, if all actively participating, then I think you're already winning. What's worked for us, I think, is sharing our growth strategy and, like Tony was saying, the successes of the club every meeting. So we go over like what our goals are for the year, what we hope to achieve, how everybody can participate in that success. So bringing new people in, sharing the open house, we provide them with the posters, with the materials to be able to do that, and then recognizing those achievements as and when they happen. And I think everybody being aware of what we're hoping to achieve as a club is super helpful. Other words of wisdom? I don't think so. Like I said, just create an energetic environment that people want to keep coming back to, and hopefully they will. And I know that a lot of the membership issues are around people meeting online. So I would just encourage people to think, how can you create an environment where it feels like you're meeting in person? Like, what can you do to reduce those technological barriers, perhaps, to the meeting? Like, what can you do to make that club feel like you are connecting in person? I don't have any ideas, but I can let you know if I do.
Yeah, thank you, Helen. Yes. Okay. And I do have it open for any questions. If anybody has a question, please either raise your hand and or type it in the chat. Otherwise, Tony and Helen will have another question from me that might even be philosophical.
can I share? I also belong to 2 clubs that only meet online.
Yes, go ahead.
And having a specialty. So I belong to Point of Order, and it's all centered around Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentary procedures. And we do make meeting calls well in advance so people know what their roles are, and they could share that with other people that need to know those skill sets. So it's a specialty club, so it is a niche. Also belong to a club in leadership in District 101 called Leadership 101, where we focus on leadership in general. Could be corporate, could be nonprofit, but every month we have a theme and we have a reading, and we post that in Meetup. So we seem to attract people from all over the world. Still having trouble getting people to become members, but still promoting what you're doing. Like saying the nonprofit leader, people are interested and one thing that's unique about the Leadership Club is we do a leadership profile, like an introduction, but not a detailed speech. So someone you should know. Okay, so I'll leave it at that.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Okay. So you mentioned having I want to kind of piggyback off your question. You said having a specialty on there. Is it important really to also, if you have a specialty, then to keep to themes that revolve around that specialty for your Toastmasters meeting? I can rephrase that. So
at least for me in Leadership 101, I'm still part of the leadership team of that club. And we do spend time after the meeting talking about at least 3 months in advance of what could be the next theme. And that way we can get the reading assignments and try to, so yes, themes are very important. And even in San Mateo Toastmasters, the Toastmaster of the day is responsible for coming up with a theme. So our last theme was back to school.
Back to school.
That
Okay.
was ours, actually. We had
All
a
right, so but
had
it's
a-
fun because everyone's in sync. You know,
Yeah.
it really brings, it's a simple thing, but it brings everybody together.
Yeah, really does. Yeah, we have themes every meeting as well. I think just having a well-organized, well-run meeting in terms of the agenda, all the roles being filled, people knowing what they're doing in their roles, and the mentorship piece is also quite crucial in that. So we know that people will have a great experience when they come.
See, we also ask guests at the end of the meeting, how did they enjoy the meeting or make a comment? So most times I hear, oh, it's very professionally run. We had a good time. Occasionally we get somebody who makes a comment that's a little bit off colored. And then we might say, that person may not be invited as a member. For example, we had one member, and you got to avoid toxic members. And she referred herself, I'm not going to say her name, but she says, I refer myself as the hammer. Okay, so she was just really nailing this person. And it was Gopi who was giving his test speech for the World Championship of Public Speaking. So it was not very friendly. So we put her on a list of not to re-invite.
Okay. All right. Well, Tony and Helen, thank you so much for all your insight on how to grow the clubs. I have quite a list of things that I got out of this, a few ideas, a few things I'm going to try, especially when it comes to looking for avenues to meet in person for those of us who want to meet in person, but also for really promoting and advertising our clubs, because let's admit it, I did not know I could put my club in Yelp, and I'm going to put in there and I'm going to give it all 5 reviews, because that's what you want to do for your club. Put in there, give them 5-star reviews, you will find them. And with that, if we can all just have a really good hand of applause for our panelists this morning, actually. Thank you so much. With that, this session is officially over, but this Toastmasters Leadership Institute is not over. We still have our next session. So I'll give it back to our TLI chair, Gretchen.